My name is Allie Allen, and I am the Executive Director of our QualityPro accreditation program. And QualityPro is one of 4 organizations based in Fairfax, Virginia, literally under the same roof as NPMA. So NPMA is the National Pest Management Association, which is the association for the pest management industry, does things like public policy, hosting meetings, having money-saving programs for member companies, all that jazz. We have the Pest Management Foundation, which funds research that's relevant to the structural pest management industry. We have PPMA, the Professional Pest Management Alliance, which is kind of like our PR arm for the industry. And they are the power behind pestworld.org and all of those social media properties. And the whole intent of that organization is to get consumers hiring professional pest control. And then finally, there's QualityPro, which is the certification and accreditation body that is within, under this roof in Fairfax. And so NPMA certainly steers the ship and hosts the meetings and brings people together and is the real powerhouse. But every once in a while, there's a need identified in the industry, and we need to start up another organization to help meet that need. And QualityPro was started over 15 years ago to meet the accreditation and certification needs of the industry. So separate from NPMA, you can become a QualityPro accredited company if you're not a member of NPMA, but there is a price difference, and certainly the majority of our companies that are QualityPro accredited also show their professionalism by becoming a member of the association. So my goal for today is to do a tour of QualityPro, talk about its purpose for the industry, hit on some common questions. I already did one. A lot of people think you have to be an NPMA member in order to be a QualityPro accredited company, but that was the case at one point, but it is no longer. And just kind of bring you through the full process, what it takes to apply, what will happen once you apply, what you get access to, what you no longer or what you don't have access to yet during the application period, what that process is, and then once you get accredited, what becomes available to you, what we recommend for accredited companies and how you maintain that, and then go on to earn service certifications. So that's the broad overview, and I'm going to launch a poll right now just to know the folks that we've got on the line, although I've got a pretty good idea. And while I do that, if you have any questions that you're here because you have a question and you want that question answered, please feel free to drop it in the chat just so I make sure that I get to it within this presentation. So you should be seeing a poll popping up right now. Where is your company at in the process? You're just researching, you're in the application phase, or you are an accredited company. I'm just going to leave this up for about 30 seconds here. All right. Just what I thought. We're 50-50 with one person who hasn't voted. So we've got half people researching and half people who are accredited. So that is fantastic. And I'm going to hit on both of that right now. I'm going to shut off my video because I've got 2 screens and I don't want you to have to stare at the side of my face. And I'm going to start sharing my screen here. We're a dog-friendly workplace here at NPMA, so that's my dog. All right, perfect. Get everything organized here so I can see the chat box. All right, so our first stop on this tour is going to be the QualityPro website. So npmaqualitypro.org, and I'll put all these URLs that I give you a tour of into the follow-up email with the recording. That is the homepage for the industry for the QualityPro accreditation program. Our mission is to set the standards of excellence for professional pest management companies and their employees through education, training, and certification, providing customers protection and confidence when selecting a nationally accredited company. And in the pest management industry, so there's a lot of trade industries that have some sort of voluntary certification program that the industry developed and the industry supports and the industry maintains the standards. And that's it. That's what you look to when you're looking for professionalism in an industry. The pest management industry started up QualityPro after the EPA and after state licensing. And so when we talk about credentialing in the pest management industry, the big elephant in the room is individual licensing for all of your state pesticide applicators. And that is separate from QualityPro. So those programs are run out of your states. That's for individuals. And every state is very, very different on what they require for someone to earn, what someone needs for a license, how they maintain that license. So QualityPro doesn't get really involved in that. One of the changes that has come down is there used to be reciprocity. So someone who had earned their applicator's license in some states did not need to take the QualityPro exam, which I'm going to get to here in a moment, but that's no longer the case. Now everyone who is hired by a QualityPro company into a sales or service role, so really customer-facing employees, need to take and pass the QualityPro exam. And one of the main reasons for that is when we were doing mapping of what's on the QualityPro exam versus what's on these state licensing exams, is the QualityPro exam talks about customer service, because that is at the core of what we do. And none of the state licensing exams, which are really focused on pesticide safety, went into customer service. So the QualityPro exam is a national exam and it is a separate thing from the states. Now the QualityPro exam gives you a certificate of completion. It's not something you have to have someone retake after a certain number of years. So it's not an individual certification. If someone comes to you or you have a certificate of completion from one of the QualityPro exams from a previous employer, that's great. You're not going to have to repeat taking the exam, but it doesn't mean that, say you start up a company and you have that certificate of completion, that company isn't automatically QualityPro accredited. I think that's a pretty common misunderstanding. And as you see all of the other standards, so that's the testing thing is one of 16 standards, you'll see what you need to do in addition to just taking that exam. But the context and why I went down that rabbit hole is that industries have voluntary certification programs to set standards for themselves to define professionalism in their industry. And that is what QualityPro is for the pest management industry. And it's separate from the individual credentials and licensing programs run by the states. We do have of course, a vision. QualityPro is the only recognized and accepted credentialing authority of the professional pest management industry, and that helps our board of directors, which is made up of pest control companies, owners like your companies. It helps us focus our work. So we're really focused on anything about setting standards and recognizing companies and programs that meet those standards. Everything we do falls into one of the categories of standard of excellence, education and training, or QualityPro branding, which is, when you earn a credential, you want to tell your customers about it and brand your company. So we're going to be getting to that here in a moment. The only other stop I wanted to make on this NPMA QualityPro website is the application. So the first step towards earning QualityPro accreditation is to apply. And I do encourage companies, as soon as they're confident that they are going to proceed down this path and become QualityPro accredited, that's something that they want to do, apply that day. We have never kicked anyone out of an application period. So even if you're crazy busy right now and you won't get to it until the fall, you can still apply and get access to all the resources I'm about to show you in a minute. We set the default period to be 6 months just so that we can stay in touch with you and prompt you and send reminders so you don't forget about this thing that you said you wanted to do. But we are happy to extend that. And when you apply, if you know right off that you're not going to get it done in 6 months, just let us know. Let's have a conversation about it. The only time that we extend that 6 months automatically is if your company has not been in business for more than 2 years. So one of the requirements of becoming QualityPro accredited is that your business has been open and in operation for at least 2 years, but you can apply to QualityPro within that 2-year period. So say you applied to QualityPro the first month you were in business, you would have access to the resources to help you hire your team and grow your business right and build your processes. We just wouldn't flip the switch to making you accredited so you could advertise that to customers until your 2-year anniversary. And you only need to pay once in all of these scenarios for application. The QualityPro fee schedule, and this is for NPMA members. If your company is not an NPMA member company, then we flag that and we let you know what that rate will be. But it is based on your annual sales revenue, and you stick yourself in one of those categories, and that's what the application fee is going to be. The renewals, so once you earn QualityPro accreditation, renewals happen annually on the anniversary of when you earned accreditation. So you're not, if you apply today, you're not going to be charged a renewal today next year. It's annual based on when you earn it. Same fee schedule. The QualityPro board, of course, looks at these fees every 3 to 5 years, but in 15 years we've only raised the rates once. So you can assume it's going to stay fairly consistent there. Doing a quick check for questions and not seeing any, but wanted to remind everyone you're welcome to cut in and ask questions. So you are here and you're ready to take the next step, so you apply. And I will insert a plug for the folks who are doing research. If you ever want to bring your team together and talk individually with me and have a meeting about exactly what this process will mean for your company, I am always available and happy to have that conversation. But let's make the assumption you wanted to dive in and you went ahead and applied. What would happen at that point is you would get access as a company applied to 2 programs. It's going to trigger an email telling you all of this jazz, but you are going to be given access to QualityProTools.org, where there's model forms and policies and resources and information for you. The part of the QualityPro Tools website that's going to be locked down until you earn accreditation is the marketing materials. So you can't market yourself as being QualityPro until you've earned the credential, but you are welcome and encouraged to utilize all of our model template forms and policies. And a breakdown, a nice summary of what all of these are, is under benefits. I've got a little chart of what's there and what the value, what it might cost your company if you were going to go out and spend the time researching on what a good employment application looks like, and then figuring out how to modify it for your state and the pest control industry specifically. We've done that all for you, and then we have an HR professional review these resources to make sure they're keeping up with the times. And all of those are housed within QualityPro Tools. So I'm going to click here. It may have kicked me out, yeah. It's always what I get for being prepared and logging in early. So you can see that there's a bunch of model employment application interview questions, both questions that you should ask and for different service roles or roles within your company, not just service, and also questions that you should not ask to avoid getting in any hot water with protected classes. We've also got model policies and things like advertising policy, model termite warranty, charges and convictions policy, drug-free workplace policy, all sorts of things that, again, you are more than welcome to plug and play. They are locked down for editing because we don't want you to change them and make them illegal for yourself, but we're happy to add your logo to them and write your company name, pre-fill any fields for you. We're happy to do that. And I think majority of people are here from the US, so I'm showing examples of the US, but note that we do have standards and resources for the US and Canada because HR is very different, and so some of the standards are a little bit different depending on which country you're from. So the other thing that triggers, and the one that probably is more important, is this new system. And I know at least one person is joined in here today to get the updates and see what's new to QualityPro. And this is the newest thing. So when you apply to QualityPro, you get this email and says, yes, you can log into QualityPro tools now and access all these model forms and resources. But the process is broken down into bite-sized pieces, and all of the resources that you need to meet the standards are embedded right in this program called Certimi. So I started up a test account here for an individual and I launched these credentials. So this is an example of a user who had just applied for QualityPro and a couple of service certifications, the Green Pro Service Certification and the QualityPro School Service Certification, which I'm going to get to in a moment. And what you do is you log in, you accept it, and each of these little circles here maps to one of the QualityPro standards. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit for folks here. And each of these circles here corresponds to one of these rows over here. So if I went and clicked on Green Pro, they would be different. I'm going to focus here, continue to focus on QualityPro. And each one, let's take the employment interview. You don't have to do them in order. You click on the item, the standard itself. So QualityPro is based on a set of standards and it's detailed out here. And then there's a note. You may use the model interview questions to meet this standard. Okay, great. I'm being spoon-fed what I need to do to earn QualityPro accreditation. And it's totally true and it's totally okay. So here you saw this as a teaser button in QualityPro tools, but you can see that Certimi, it's embedded right into the process. So if I wanted to use the model interview questions and I didn't have any developed already for my company, that's fine. You're welcome to download this resource, start building it into your company policies and procedures. And when you get to this step in Certimi, I just clicked complete now and it says, please upload a copy of the interview questions used to hire for positions within the company. You know what? I want to use the QualityPro ones. Continue, confirm, and that's it. So we just confirmed that your provided evidence that your company is meeting that standard. You'll see that the little green bubble is filled in with green because you've done your part. And on the back end, I get notified for a verification and I'm going to see what you submitted. So if you've sent our questions back to us, that's fine. But maybe your company does have different questions that you use and I'm reviewing those as well. Once I have reviewed what you've submitted and approved it, I'm going to verify it and then you'll see a little white check mark inside the green circle. And you kind of get the idea of how this works. I'm going to give you another example of this. So the drug-free workplace policy. Really long detailed standard here, and there is all of the standards themselves are also embedded within a number of places, but you can view the full standards here in a workbook and they're all detailed out, but the wording that's in here, of course, I'll put that in the follow-up email. The wording that's in that workbook is built into Certimi. So when a company is pursuing QualityPro, you can use our model drug-free workplace policy to meet this standard. And what you need to do for this one, this is an example of both we're asking you to provide us your policy, which you may have just developed. And we also want to know what drug testing company you are going to use. If you're instituting a drug-free workplace or drug testing program for the first time, that's fine. The standard gives guidance on how to do that. And this just, the application period gets you ready to start to implement a process. And knowing who you're going to use to drug test your next hire is part of that process. So the drug-free, that's a question we get commonly is, do you have to retroactively drug test everyone? And the answer to that is no, but you do need to drug test all of your prospective employees moving forward. Criminal background check is different. We do ask that employers have criminal background check records on everyone that works for them. What you do with those records is up to you as an employer. So we don't say, hey, it came back with something, anything, you cannot hire a person. That's not QualityPro's place. But we do require you to have a process that makes sure that you as an employer are informed of the people that work for you. And there's an HR consultant available to everyone in the pest control industry who are NPMA members who can chat through those employment decisions if something does come up. So that's an example of one of these steps that has a form in it. Another example, most of them are either a form fields like that, you have to upload a document, and I'm gonna give you an example of one, just test. 245 years. And this is the other field I wanted to show you. There are a couple of things that require a signature, and you just do it with your mouse. And that would be completing that one. So this is in the application phase. Once you've filled in all of these circles, you can see you can do them in any order and you can chip away at it. Usually what I recommend is taking an hour when you start in this process and just clicking on all of them, reading them, clicking complete now to see what we need. And some of these are going to be low-hanging fruit and really easy for you to complete. So my shining example of that is the one that talks about what your advertising practices are. You know, we have a standard here, but the way we check that is we just ask you to provide a link to your website. And that's it. That's all you need to do to fill in that green bubble. When I go to verify, I'm going to go to your website and poke around and check according to the standard, but you can get that bubble filled in really quickly, and a number of these standards are like that. The big update here for those of you who have looked into QualityPro in the past is we used to send a giant binder and that was it. We still send a binder that has a copy of the handbook and a copy of all of the model policies, but you don't need it. Certamy really drives the process now, and it's broken it down into little bite-sized pieces of exactly what the standards are and what we're looking for in your company to ensure that you're meeting each of these standards. And the testimonials we hear is that by going through this process, you really shore up your hiring process. So, you know what your employment application is and that it needs to be filled out completely. You know that someone needs to have reference checks done, criminal background check, your drug testing, and that's all after having a conditional offer for employment. You interview someone and document that interview and maintain records of that interview. You know, there's a whole process to bringing someone on board and hiring them that can be hard to figure out if your background is in pest control. And that's what QualityPro is here for, is to coach you through the process of getting your processes in place so that when it gets to be the busy season or you're growing and you've already hired all of your family and friends and you need to start hiring strangers and bringing them into your team, you have a process where there will be consistency and make sure that everyone is being welcomed in the same way and in a way that doesn't bring liability on your company. The standards themselves, the history behind those is that a group of successful pest control companies came together and said, what's the core? What does a company need to have in place to kind of build that strong foundation and not hit the growing pains that we all have? And that's the background of the standards, is these are in the important areas of your business that you want to look at and make sure they're complying with the law and things are in place. And the QualityPro process really just helps you shine light on all those areas of your business and get things in place. Once you've completed the application, so all of these little bubbles are filled with green and check boxes, then what's going to happen is it triggers your company to be accredited. And you're still going to be in Certimi. It's just it won't say phase application. It's going to say phase first renewal. The first renewal, so 1 year after you earn accreditation, all you need to do is furnish your certificate of insurance demonstrating you're meeting the standards for general liability, workman's comp, and auto insurance. You need to provide evidence that drug testing has happened. So we don't need the details and the results, just like a receipt that you've done drug testing on employees if you've hired anyone in the last year. And then you're signing an affidavit that's all built into Certimi that attests that your company is still meeting the standards. That's the first year renewal. The second year renewal and moving forward from that, we just ask for an updated certificate of insurance and you to sign an affidavit. So it used to be that the Get Earning QualityPro was a lot more, in the good faith system. We didn't ask for a lot of documentation up front. But the problem with that is when someone got called for an audit, it was a surprise and people had no idea, what they had signed up for 5 years ago when they applied. So now you've got Certimi, you've got a documentation of everything. You go into this whole process with your eyes wide open, and anything you've ever uploaded to the system or any information that you've put into the system is kept in Certimi within your digital wallet. So you can see what I've uploaded on this test user's account. If you've earned any certifications, they're going to be there for your company. They're going to be there for you to download. And then you've also got your profile area. So if you acquire a company or you're doing business as different brands, you can tell us that information there, and you can update all of this and maintain your records. So I mentioned an audit in passing, and I do want to focus on that now. So that's the QualityPro application phase, which turns into the renewal 1, which turns into the renewal every year. Once in every 5-year period, a company is going to be randomly selected for an audit. And when the audit happens, it shows up as an additional row. It'll say QualityPro US Audit, and it looks almost identical to the application process. So it's just an opportunity for you to recheck and make sure that you are still maintaining the processes that you set in place when you went through the application process. If something has been uploaded within, I believe it's 14 months, it doesn't need to be uploaded again. So if the interview questions you're using haven't changed, you can go ahead and tell us that, and that's going to fill in that bubble in the audit process. When a company gets pulled for their QualityPro audit, it also pulls their audit for the service certifications, which I'm going to get to in a moment. But I'm going to stay focused on QualityPro here for a couple more minutes. Checking the chat box. Don't see any questions, so I'm going to keep plowing through. But the summary of all of that is when you apply for QualityPro, you get access to your company's Certimi account. So one login for the whole company. So if you have a team of people working on it, you're going to share one login to get in, and you're all going to see the same thing within Certimi. Same with QualityPro tools. The area where everybody gets their own individual login is to fulfill the standard that speaks to the individual testing, which I alluded to at the beginning. This can be the most complex part, so I'm going to focus on that next. And you chip away via Certimi. So a lot of companies in the application period never log into QualityPro tools because everything that you need is embedded right within these rows, as I showed you, but you'll have access and you're welcome to. Okay, the standard that I want to focus on that I think is probably best known throughout the industry is the salesperson or technician testing practices standard, because that's the one that touches the most individuals. So a lot of people in this industry, I think I can safely say over 50,000 people in the industry have taken this exam and earned a certificate of completion. Here's the standard itself. So All current and prospective salespeople and technicians need to take and pass the QualityPro exam within 6 months of application for the QualityPro program, and then newly hired folks within 6 months. Depending on where you're located, your company, I see most companies building in the QualityPro exam into your onboarding, either as a practice exam for your state licensing exam, or if the state licensing exam is really easy or something that a lot of individuals don't need to take, then it's built in more of a end of onboarding period. You need to pass your QualityPro exam before you're set loose in the field. So your company can kind of make the decision on where you plug it into your onboarding process. It just has to be within the first 6 months, because it's not meant to be a weed out exam. It's not like the ACE exam. It is truly a national standard for just the baseline of what every person who's going to be interacting with consumers should know in our industry. There is some reciprocity. So for companies that were accredited before July of 2018, and because this is being recorded, I just wanted to bring some attention to this, then the no reciprocity only applies to people hired after 12/31/2018. So if you are a company that has been accredited for many, many years, you do have a bunch of employees probably that fall into this reciprocity because of their state licensing, and the list of states and everything is built in here. I've got the spinning wheel. I don't know what I clicked on. So to complete this aspect of it, so what you're going to need to do is in Certimi, it just says, you know, have all your employees in sales or service roles pass the QualityPro exam? And you're going to tell us in progress or yes, they have, because the verification of that happens in a different system. What you're going to do for this is go to npmatesting.org, npmatesting.com, npmatraining.org. There's a bunch of URLs that float around that you may have seen in the past. They all go to one place, and that is the NPMA Online Learning Center. And this is a shared learning management system with NPMA. So when you start up an account for an employee in this system, they have access to all of your member benefits with NPMA and all of the NPMA training courses in addition to the QualityPro exams. And if you want a full list of our online courses, you can click there. And I think one thing that's valuable for those of you who are in training roles and have employees that need to maintain CEUs is just to note what credits you can earn in your state through the NPMA training courses. So this is separate. The QualityPro and NPMA are separate organizations, but because it's all in the same system, I do like to show this to people. I find that people really get to know their NPMA member benefits through going through the QualityPro accreditation process. So for example, if you have an HR question about a criminal background check, I'm going to show you the NPMA member benefit where you can talk to an HR professional. If you're looking for a company to do drug testing and reference checking, I'm going to put you in touch with the company that offers NPMA members a discount to work with them. So through the QualityPro process, you kind of uncover all of these NPMA member benefits. And I love giving companies that tour. So I know that Jeffrey is coming to us from Indiana, so I'm just pulling that up as an example. Here's an example of all of the courses that are available in the NPMA Online Learning Center for credits. And again, this is the same system that you're going to be having your folks take the QualityPro exam in. The QualityPro exams are not training experiences, so they're not eligible for credits. So two things we can do here. If you have, I usually say if you've got more than 10 employees, to get you all caught up, it's best to work with me to do bulk adding of user profiles and bulk registration to the exams. And if I've helped you out with that and done that, then all your folks need to do is click Access Purchase Content, log in, and they're going to be directly into the Online Learning Center. If you've got a new hire or just a handful of people and you want to DIY it, that's perfectly fine. Then you click on the top one. You get brought into this system that you're going to log in if you have an account, or if you don't have an account yet, you can sign up a new user. And the only tricky part of that is you need to link with your company to ensure that you get all the right pricing and access to the QualityPro exams, because you won't be eligible to register for the QualityPro exams unless you're linked to a company that's either applied to QualityPro or accredited by QualityPro. But I'm going to do an example here. Is the test one I wanted to do? No. So this is a dummy account that I've set up. If I was earning CEUs within the NPMA Online Learning Center, I'd want to put in my license information, but I'm not. So for the point of QualityPro, you can just finish skip. And if I am purchasing things that cost money for employees, there's a voucher system, but none of the QualityPro exams are going to cost money, with the exception of food processing and handling, which I'll get to in a second. That one's $25. But you can see I'm going to add the QualityPro US exam is the one that's required for earning QualityPro. And I'm going to add the Green Pro exam too, just for fun. And a note here, if your company applies for QualityPro and a service certification, that's great. We'll get to those in a second. The service certifications each are a $100 application fee. So that would be on top of that dues chart that I showed everyone at the very beginning. So you're paying what's in the chart for QualityPro, and then the service certifications are $100. If you just want to start with QualityPro and add on service certifications as you go, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing holding you to it. There's no time-sensitive thing on that, because QualityPro is the foundation. A company has to be QualityPro accredited before they earn any service certifications. But as soon as you apply for QualityPro, all of the service certification exams are going to be available to your company. So there are lots of companies out there that aren't applied for the QualityPro school service certification and don't intend to earn it, because that's just not a big part of their business, but they love it. They love the exam as a training exercise for their people. And so they have people go through the QualityPro schools exam, just taking it as an example, and build that into their training program. And you're more than welcome to do that. All of these are available to you and your company. And as you see, they're the value price of $0. So once I've got everything added to my cart here, I'm going to click continue. If I had to pay for something, this next screen would ask for my payment information. And then in the final step, there is a big button that says go to the Online Learning Center. But if you're registering someone in your company, or you're not ready to go ahead and take the exam now, that's perfectly fine. You're all registered. You never have to go through that process again, or your employees, because we're doing this for each individual in a sales or service role. Where you get back to that point is the click access purchase content. So anyone at your company who's been registered for an exam simply goes to npmatraining.org, clicks access purchase content, logs in, and that's the equivalent of clicking on this button. They're going to be brought directly into our Online Learning Center where they actually take the exam. This system is mobile compatible, but most companies will have their folks take it on a desktop or a tablet, I found, and you simply click on the course that you want to take, click Start Here. Each individual is going to have the opportunity to download a study guide within the exam. So this is just me saying, yes, I'm me and I'm taking the exam. Here's where each individual can download the study guide. We do send you a hard copy of the study guide when you apply. So if you want to have that in the office, and you can order more copies, but we're not in the business of selling study guides. You're more than welcome to download the file there. Someone could download it, log out, and go study for a week. That's perfectly fine. When they log back in, they'll be brought right back to this step. Once you're ready to proceed, click Mark Complete and then Next. And then you're brought to the actual testing step. And this is where there's lots of warnings of like, you know, you're almost ready to launch this thing. So make sure you're ready. And you have 2 attempts to score 80% or higher on the 50-question 1-hour exam. If you take the 2 attempts and you don't pass, then it's going to lock up for 3 days after your second failed attempt, and then it resets on the 4th day. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that QualityPro exam. It gives me another chance to back out. It really makes sure that you're ready to proceed. If you see the Start Test button, then you have an attempt left. Click OK, and then it pops open the exam. And this is where there's a couple more. That's the same text that was before, just with the you can't exit and come back at this point. You're in it. So people simply go ahead and take the exam. The box fills in with green once you've answered a question. And once you've answered it all, you click Submit and Finish. You confirm. It's going to get mad at me now because I didn't answer a lot of questions, but that's because we're on a demo. So I'm going to fail this thing miserably. And it's going to tell me that. And you'll see I got a whopping 4%. Go me. But I can take it again. And I'm just going through the whole experience because I assume folks who are watching this are going to be leading their team through the certification process and want to know the experience that their employees are going to have. So you can see that was my failed attempt, number 1, but I still have an attempt left. So yep, I'm going to go for it. Once again, I'm going to be an embarrassment to my test company. And now it's locked up. So if I go to take the test now, it's going to show my 2 attempts, when those attempts were taken. And rather than having a Start Test button, it's going to tell me when the resets can happen. Come on, let me through. So where that Start Test button is, it tells me when I can take another attempt. On 5/9 at 12:01 a.m., you would see the Start Test button there again. Once someone has passed the exam, and you can do that iteration 5 times for a total of 10 attempts before it really locks down. And we just build that in so that we get notified and we can notify the company owner or the training manager, just say, hey, you know, that Allie, she needs some help. You might need to help coach her. But that very, 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 very rarely happens. Once someone has completed any course within this online learning center, in their certificates section, they can see their grades, and any certificates that they've earned are in the My Certificates section. So this test user hasn't actually completed anything yet, but as soon as you complete something, there would be a certificate and you'd be able to print that certificate. And we find that I love touring companies and seeing employees who have their QualityPro exam certificate of completion hanging up at their desk. It's a great tool for your office staff who want to show that they've got the knowledge as well. And again, a lot of people in our industry have earned this and they keep it with them moving employer to employer. So it is a stamp of qualification that is out in this industry and definitely something to be proud of. It's not, as a reminder, an individual certification, because certifications is something that you have to earn and maintain. We don't require that people retake the exam, but it's a certificate of completion certainly to be proud of. If you're a company owner and you want to kind of track the progress of all of your people, we can pull those reports for you and send them at whatever frequency you want. And we do that quite often. Most companies will get a report of their people and their people's progress through courses in our system about once a month. So that's the employee testing piece. And I'm keeping an eye on questions. I don't see any that have come in here. And so now I'm going to start talking about the service certifications. Nope, actually, I'm going to finish the loop. So you've finished all of the little bubbles in Certimi. Your people have made it through the exam. The next thing that's going to happen is you're going to become accredited. In Certimi, as I said, you'll see your certificate for your company there, and it'll switch to the renewal credential. But the part of QualityProTools.org that's going to unlock is all of the marketing information. So we do have, of course, the logo files, which we encourage you to utilize on your company website, and your signature lines. We have decals for your trucks, uniform patches, all the ways to tell your customers about being Quality Pro. We've got a digital marketing toolkit that gives you social share images that you can use in social media to tell your certification story. And with your welcome package, you're going to get a utilization checklist. So in the perfect world, companies would be telling their story of their national accreditation, when they recruit new employees, when they are talking with customers. We've got a model bid letter that talks about Quality Pro and what it means that your company is Quality Pro accredited, that you can submit with your bids. That's one of our most popular resources. On npmaqualitypro.org, we do have this area of featured companies, which for no additional cost, we're happy to build out a whole page about your company. So you can see, these are kind of our canned questions, but whatever you want on this page, you're welcome to help us produce for you. It's got a lot of links back to your website, and we'll give you this URL that you can embed in your website. And that just nice circular reference is something that SEO loves, and it's a great benefit that a lot of companies do take advantage of. And that in the bid letter are definitely really popular. We also have, so the industry maintains 2 Find-A-Pros. And one of the websites I already mentioned is run by PPMA, the Professional Pest Management Alliance, and that's pestworld.org. At pestworld.org, you can consumers can type in their zip code, and this site gets millions of people visiting it each year. A consumer can type in their zip code and see NPMA members that service in their area. If the company is Quality Pro accredited, the search result has the little Quality Pro logo there with information about what Quality Pro means about that company. QualityPro.org is a search that is only of accredited companies. So when someone calls us and says, I'm looking for a Quality Pro accredited company, or if a procurement specialist is verifying someone's Quality Pro accreditation, then they can use the Find a Pro at QualityPro.org. And here the search is based on zip code or company name or alphabetical. And if you've earned any service certifications, then they're going to pop up in the search results as well. I'm happy to work with any of your companies. One of the things I always check on as a company is going through the process is whether you've told us about all of the zip codes that you service. It's very easy to update within the NPMA database. So that is another aspect that I make sure companies are taking care of as they're going through the Quality Pro process, because you certainly want to be found by potential customers, and we link them directly to, let me just find one random one. You can see that we link directly to a website, and we provide a phone number and an email address. So you as NPMA members have access to your profiles where you can update those, or I can do it on the back end as well. And you can see companies that have earned service certifications are there. And with our remaining time, since I haven't gotten a lot of questions, I'm going to talk about the service certification. So Quality Pro is the baseline. We never want to send a company back and recognize them without making sure that the baseline standards, which is Quality Pro, have been met. So you're hiring your people right, you've got a safety policy, a maintained fleet, your employees are wearing uniforms, you're a professional company. When it comes to the services that you offer, that's where the service certifications come in. And this is another update. So Green Pro is one that way back when was called QualityPro Green, and it's been through a couple of logo iterations. The logos you see here are the most updated logos. So if you are watching this and you're from a company that is QualityPro accredited and you're using any of the old logos, I encourage you to go to qualityprotools.org and download the new versions of the logos there because they look real sharp together. But the service certifications are there to help companies distinguish their services. And the ones that we have are, I'm going to go to listed out in the credentials here, and you can learn more about them here. We've got Green Pro, which is distinguishing your integrated pest management services. QualityPro Schools for services performed in K through 12 schools. Food Safety, which is for food processing and handling facilities. And Public Health, which you can earn for either, at this point, either your rodent services or your mosquito services. So again, you apply for QualityPro. You're welcome to also apply for any of the service certifications at the same time. And each of those have their own process within Certimi, and some are harder than others. So I dropped in here examples of Green Pro and QualityPro Schools. QualityPro Schools is based exclusively on your on the employees who are performing or selling service at K through 12 schools having passed the exam. So if that's true about your company, QualityPro Schools is going to be very easy for you to earn and maintain. Green Pro, which is our most popular one because it's written into the service specs of things like the U.S. Green Building Council's LEED program. So if you have a customer that the building is LEED certified, they can actually earn points for their LEED certification by you performing a Green Pro certified service at their account. So if that is of interest to your company, you'll want to apply for Green Pro, and there's two avenues to earning Green Pro. 1.0 is you use our model protocol and take the exam, which is that's the easiest way to do it. Or 2.0, you see, has more steps. That is your own service protocol gets certified. So in that case, you would upload the service documentation about your service, what your customers receive to understand the service, and what your employees receive to understand how to perform the service. And we make sure those are meeting the Green Pro standards. And then the folks who are performing or selling that service need to have passed the exam. It's the same exam between the two. It's always just the Green Pro exam, but kind of the way you get to earn the logo for your service or services is different, 1.0 versus 2.0. Food safety is similar to schools, but it's the NPMA food processing and handling exam, which does cost $25 per person. But that is for just the folks who are performing and selling services in food processing and handling facilities. So not like restaurants, more food plants is what that one's geared towards. And then public health, you're uploading documentation that your customers receive and your employees receive about your rodent services or mosquito services, and taking those exams. So I think that's the whirlwind tour of the service certifications, which those are the ones that you more often see in bid specs. I will say I hear a lot about companies wanting to earn QualityPro because either QualityPro or Green Pro or QualityPro Schools is either a requirement or will earn them extra points in a bid, especially in commercial properties. So on the QualityPro side of things, we are always shouting the value of accreditation and hiring an accredited company to consumers. We reach the commercial market much more easily for our small program by working with like the Realtors Association and Building Owners and Managers Association. It's just easier to influence an industry rather than all consumers. We really try and get brand penetration and get the mark of excellence in pest management known to the residential market through empowering companies to co-brand by using the logos on their trucks, on their vehicles, by putting social media materials in your hands and really doing all we can to help you share your story of accreditation with your companies. And we are here to help in that. So with that, taking one last look at the chat for questions. This has all been recorded, which is what most people were looking for out of this. I want to thank those of you who attended today. I will follow up with this recording with links to all of the spots that I showed you within this whole tour. And in my signature line, there is a link to schedule a one-on-one meeting with me. And please feel free to do that anytime. All of my contact information is there. And I love working with pest control companies to help you grow, help you get processes in place, make sure that you will have your fingers on all of the resources that are available to you within this industry. And if there's an area that your company is struggling with or planning to really focus on this year, let me know, because the whole point of an association and the QualityPro program is to help you. And so this industry has such a spirit of sharing and support that oftentimes what we do through this process is partner you up with a mentor and find another company that has been through what you're planning to go through, and hopefully save you some work and get you paired up with someone who wants to help your business grow. So I hope I hear from many of you in the year ahead, and just know that I am here for you regardless of whether you've applied for QualityPro. I want you to think of me and all the staff at NPMA and QualityPro as resources to help your company out. So with that, I will let you get off to your day, and thank you for your time.